But, I have to give you a little insight. I was married the first time when I was 30. It was annulled, so,
Right.
Like it doesn't count, church and state.
Right.
And my first wife was a quitter.
Right. In what way?
It was weird because...
She made it through 2 open mics, and she's like, I'm not...
No.
I'm not... Seems like a terrible lifestyle.
No, she didn't... we had some stress.
Yeah.
And she's like... I said, let's go for counseling,
right.
in the beginning.
Right, right.
And she goes, we don't need counseling. Excuse me. I said, What do you mean? We don't need counseling. We're not getting along. God bless me.
Bless.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I guess you guys are all Jews.
or just
agnostic, but God bless you anyway. What the fuck? God bless
you. I hate to change the subject, but I sneezed in church the other day, and nobody said God bless you. And I was like, wow, man.
Times have changed.
I said, where am I?
They're too busy having those orgies in the Vatican.
That's the Vatican. I was on West 71st Street. At Blessed Sacrament Church.
It wasn't anything going down there. It was pure
my first wife. My first wife didn't listen to the vows.
Right.
Like for better or for worse.
Right. Right.
So that stung me. So it took me.
How long was it? How long were you two married?
8 months.
8 months. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Really short.
8 months. Yeah, short time. So we had it annulled, and I didn't get into a serious relationship for another 14 years. And then I met my...
Wow, that's numbers.
Yeah.
You were putting numbers on the board.
Wow. And I was running a strip club, too. So,
things will happen.
So
maybe that might have had something to do with the 14-year stretch. You're like,
oh, there's pussies around me.
I was telling my friends, we're going, how you doing? I said, man, I'm doing so much, I'm actually getting good at it. by fucking accident.
I might have a real talent at this, I realize that.
I'm starting to get compliments. That's how much I'm doing it.
Jesus, that was great. You're like, really?
Yeah. I didn't know. I'm done. But, my first wife left an impression on me, like the fact that she quit so easily, it reinforced my beliefs. Like when you get hurt like that.
Yeah.
Like you
and what were those beliefs? I mean, like...
Fuck bitches.
No, get your hands dirty for somebody you love.
Right.
You know what
if
I mean?
you're in there, you're in there.
Yeah,
right. For a penny and for a pound.
For better, for worse.
Right.
I mean, those vows stick up. Stand up for a reason.
Which I get that because it's like I find for me that like if I get involved, like which is why it's a scary thing. Like I'm in. Like I have like not obligations, but if you're with me. There's things I have to do. Like, that's part of it. That's part of being a man.
Here's what's funny about Harry's... we can talk about this, right? Nobody's...
we're doing well. I'm doing well.
Do you do this all show long? Can we can talk about this before you get something personal?
No, well, sometimes...
being sarcastic.
Well, let's just... But we talk about, like, if you're gonna...
I just shout no jokingly.
If you're gonna have a couple of girls on the roster, you have to fuck them.
Yeah.
You can't have them on the roster and then they're not taking care of the business. So I used to say this when we first started doing the show. A lot of times I was fucking when I didn't want to fuck. Because it's my job. I took it on. It's like when you get a dog. You got to go home and walk him.
Yeah.
You cannot just let the dog stay in the house for 8 hours at the time. You got to go home. Even if you got spots, you got to run home. You got to walk the dog, and then you can go back and do whatever you want to do.
I can hear women across the country turning off this podcast right now.
But and you know what? Here's what they love about me. It's because I mean I'm fantastic, but that's beyond the point. The fact that I'm honest about it.
Wow.
If we don't talk about,
you could have used a different analogy.
Yeah, but not really, because
walking at a dog.
Not my favorite, Johnny.
No,
not my favorite analogy.
I really like to just make Harry feel uncomfortable whenever I use the dog references. But
the information in the analogy is sound. It's just the analogy.
And when you use the term dog, you're not referring to Harry's girlfriend.
No.
Literally, are you?
No.
Thank you. I wanted to clear that up. I wanted to clear that up for listeners.
Some of the older ones, maybe, but
what
not
the
fuck?
This turned into an Attack Harry show.
What the fuck? I think I'm pretty proud of my record. I'm not ashamed of any of it. Well, not any of it.
Let's be honest.
We've all had those nights.
It's a weird thing because we come from a place where when you give your word, you give your word.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes, if you're gonna play, and you got a bunch of chicks in there on your right, you don't get to go, I'm tired. I don't want to fuck. Right. You gotta go fuck.
Yeah. Well, it is a job.
It is.
Yeah.
When you're single, it turns into a job.
Sure.
There's no doubt about it.
Sure. And if you want to be the guy who has these options, then you have to cultivate the options. Like if you wanna harvest the fruit, that means you gotta cultivate, aerate the soil too. You gotta do it. And if you're not gonna do it, then when it comes time for you to pick the fruit, there's no fruit there because you didn't do what you were supposed to do.
Yeah, they don't hang around.
Send out a couple
anyway.
texts right now.
They don't hang around.
No, if you're not doing the right thing, I mean, listen. You can have. It's funny because you talk about your first one was a quitter. If they don't like you anymore, they leave with extreme prejudice.
Oh, my wife was like an executioner. I mean, like, it was so funny. She said to me, I never told the story, but
Let's go for it.
She goes, we sat down to whack everything up. So she goes, I want the condo. I said, you got it. She goes, I want all the furniture and the china. And I said, you got it. She goes, I want you to assume all the credit card debt. I said, you got it.
Really?
So she goes, what do you want? And I said, I want an annulment. So she goes, you want an annulment? Why do you want an annulment? I said, I want an annulment, and I want you to agree to use the same lawyer to cut my costs. So she goes, why do you want an annulment? I said, I want an annulment because I don't want any record of this ever happening. And she goes, you bastard. I said, I just gave you everything, you son of a bitch. I said, why don't you just call me a bastard in the beginning?
Because I was getting everything I wanted.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but
there was a scene, I remember, Married with Children, right? Al's with his dentist or whatever, and his dentist, for whatever, he picks up the phone to talk to his divorce lawyer before he's going to operate on Al's teeth. He's like, he's like, what does she want? My baseball cards. Why does she want my baseball cards? Because she knows I like them. Like that's the whole thing. Like I know that's what you want.
Did she agree? Did she agree to?
She agreed to everything. And here's the weird part. That was 30 years ago. I've never seen her once.
Wow.
Never ever seen her once.
Never. Had she ever called or no?
Nothing. And it was such a quirk of fate that it was almost like we got married. You talk about. These spiritualists talk about past lives and, finishing work in each life and so on. It was almost like something that we had to finish, like get closure on it. We met each other. We had a love affair. We got married. We had a lavish wedding. And it was just over. It was just as clear as day.
Wow.
And I look back, and she was 100% right. She did me a huge favor.
Wow.
That she didn't want to work it out, yeah.
No, I mean, she was 100% right. There was no...
What do you think happened with that? What is just?
I don't know. You know what? I've had quite a few relationships in my life. I don't have any explanation for it. She just,
But you've never had one like that. That's the only one that's like that. Similar. I mean,
it was probably the only relationship where I've actually had a woman where I can honestly say she didn't like me.
And that's the one you married.
Really?
Out of all the ones.
It just
insane,
like somebody flicked the switch. And,
it just turned.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like that before.
She had doubt before the wedding, and then she changed her mind. She says, I don't want to let you go. I don't think I'm going to meet a guy like you again. And
wow.
I guess
she's not, by the way, a great reason to get married. Like, I don't know what's on the free agent market, so I guess we're going to sign you to an extension.
Yeah,
it's not exactly before the wedding.
Well, so I didn't pay any attention to it because everybody tells you, anybody who gets married is really not 100% sure.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's an educated risk emotionally and whatever. Everybody has their little shade.